Hey guys, what's up and welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at our TvP replay analysis, and then after we watch the replay we'll go ahead and look at the slide to recap the concepts. So basically in TvP we're going to play two different openers. We're going to play either MineDrop or 3-rack stim timing, and then both builds are going to converge on a standardized 2-base plan, and then the late game transition we'll get into after we get some more replays to support what we're doing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the replay. We'll go ahead and watch it from my side. So we're doing a standard Reaper fast expand with a 17 scout. The 17 scout, we want to A-move across the map so that we can get an alert off the probe, because it's very important to know where the probe is at all times, and if there are two probes. So if we end up chasing the probe around like we were doing there, we can just send a second SCV out to peel back. So like our first, like if he's going to the corner or something, our first probe can peel back and our second SCV can complete the scout. But what the scout's looking for is basically the cybernetics core and the nexus timing. So we're used to seeing cyber first and then an expansion, and that's typically to get the adept or the stalker out quickly to deflect the Reaper. And we don't need to react to what we scout unless we see multiple gateways and 2 gas. So if we see like a couple of gates and a couple of gases, we would want to transition into all-in defense, and that would basically just be continue producing Marines, bunkers, and Cyclone tank. But if we see a cybernetics core and an expansion and 2 pylons, we're basically in the clear to continue our build at this point. Okay, so now we're following up. Our Reaper is going to go out and do the follow-up scout, and our Reaper is looking for the tech. Meanwhile, at home, we're going factory and then the gas in the bunker at what is essentially the same time. I'm sure there's optimizations for this, but either the returning scout or the guy who built the depot can build the bunker, and then second gas. And then what the Reaper is looking for is the tech. And in this case, what the Reaper finds is a gateway, and that just tells me that he's not doing like a tech rush involving either Stargate Harass or Twilight Council. So it's not a tech rush that I have to worry about, and that's basically all the Reaper Scout gets. Okay. So now we're building our defense and our harass. So we got our scouting out of the way with the SCV and the Reaper. Now we need Marines in the bunker, a safety cyclone, and then we need our medevac and 2 mines for the drop. So there's our safety cyclone. We put that in the main mineral line to defend against oracles. The mine can go into the natural. And then when the mine and the medevac pop out, it's time to go for the drop. We build the 2 extra racks and an eBay and the 2 tech labs. That's the first part of the transition. The second part of the transition is the 2 reactors, the 2 refineries, and the 3rd CC, and queue up all the upgrades. So in the slide, we'll go over the order of importance there. But basically, what's happened here is we did the MineDrop. We killed 8 workers. So in the harass battle between Terran and Protoss, it's their Oracle, which can kill 10 workers with 1 pulsar charge, and it's our MineDrop that can kill 10 workers in a single mineral line. And for both of us, what we're trying to do is distract and keep the army in place, right? So we do our MineDrop, we picked it up, we hide it in the corner, and then now he kind of has to leave stalkers and defense at home. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to do it again when the mines recharge. And that lets us get up to our transition into 3-base, right? So we're basically going to have the same 2-base production that we get in the TvT matchups where we're on a 3-1-1. We're just making 4M in this case. We're making Marine, Marauder, Mines, and Medevacs, right? So the way we're queuing up upgrades is, and we'll go over this on the slide as well, is we want to get stim and shells and +1 attack. So we want to queue up our punch initially, right? So like our attack power, and then behind shells we'll put shields, and then behind +1 we'll put +1 armor. And it's important to upgrade like that in TvP, which is different from the other matchups, because in TvP, it's too early right now to commit to our tech. And if we end up going into ghosts, when you go into ghosts, you delay the +2/+2 a little bit. And these concepts that I'm getting are from a multitude of places, but mainly from ReyuGoesRawr's 3-1-1 MineDrop build, which is basically this exact thing that I'm doing. The only difference is the addition of the safety cyclone, right? So we'll link that in the description. And then the other thing is, I'm not sure when he takes the third in that video, but we're thinking the third in terms of kind of like how we thought about it in TvT, right? Where we're dropping in TvT, if we go to 3cc, we drop the third cc and then the 2 racks. In TvP, we drop the 2 racks first. We basically get everything queued up, and then we drop our third cc. So it's a little bit different. It's kind of like a hybrid of the 2 approaches in TvT, where we either do the 2-base all-in style or the 3cc transition. TvP is kind of like a middle ground of those 2 choices, but we have to get up. We can't close the game out unless we get into the 3cc transition, and that's what we've been screwing up recently, which has caused our TvP win rate to go down. And then we've just basically been giving the dedicated thought to what we need to be doing, and now we're getting some smoother TvP games. So basically, we're just hitting our transition uncontested. He's sending out an army to my front, which is basically right when my attack upgrades are finishing. So I'm literally getting stim and +1 as he's coming in here. Okay. So he wasn't able to contest my transition, and I was able to push him back off of my base. Meanwhile, my MineDrop is still back there. I don't know if I sent it in again or not. Doesn't look like it. I think I had lost the mines. Maybe just the medevac was back there. No, they were in there. Anyway, set up a minefield in the front. He has to recall back, and that's just my cue to go. When I saw the first Colossus, I started adding in some Vikings. And that's basically it against, at this, again, MMR specific, right? At this MMR, this 4M army with Vikings is good enough to close the game out against Robo Bay Twilight taken together like that. So let's go back to the 3-base transition real quick, which would be like 7:30 after the attack, right? Or while it was happening. So I transition right after this fight, which makes sense. So my third CC is done. I can float it down. And what I want to do here is the decision point is to go into +2/+2 bio backed up by Vikings. That's the tech decision I made. I don't need Ghosts right now. I need +2/+2 bio backed by Vikings. So out of the starport, I'm making Vikings. I dropped the 2 extra racks, and I took eBay Armory. And then on the barracks, I'm going 3 Tech Lab, 2 Reactor. So it's basically Marauder heavy style, right? And all I need to be doing right now is making double depots and producing out of this infrastructure, right? And saturating my third base, and I'm good. So I can macro. The whole idea is get yourself into a position where you can macro off hotkeys so that you can keep your attention on the other side of the map and then continue to hit your transition. So that's what the easiest 3-base transition in TvP looks like. And we're always going to have our little 4M hit squad at the beginning of the game. So in this game, our 4M squad defended at the natural, and then we transitioned. But in other games, our 4M squad is going to go out and attack the third, and we have another replay where that just wins the game outright, right? But we want to get into the transitions a little bit more. So let's go ahead and look at the slide now. So I'll bring this over and just reiterate on some of the concepts that we talked about, right? So this is the MineDrop opener, and we'll do one of these for the 3 racks as well. But our opening units are always going to be the same. This core group of units is always going to be the same. We're going to get the Reaper. The Reaper Scout is trying to identify tech and locate proxies. We're going to treat the MineDrop as a follow-up scout, and then don't forget what we talked about with the 17 SCV Scout, where that's our first opportunity to react to an all-in. At home, we're defending with Marines and bunkers, Cyclones. We can get tanks if we need to. We'll specifically need tanks for an anti-blink setup. So if we see Twilight, we might as well just assume that it's a blink all-in. So if the Reaper sees Twilight Council, we'll assume blink all-in, and we'll switch the factory to immediately start making tanks. Whatever the fastest possible way to get the factory on a tech lab and making tanks is what we'll do. And then we should also assume that there's a potential for DTs. So we have a choice of making a Raven or not out of the starport. And then if not, we have to be mindful of our SimCity. So we need a wall in the front, and we need turrets for detection. So we need like wall bunker turret at the front, and we need turret on the back mineral, on the main mineral line, and probably a turret on the production as well. So we need at least 3 turrets to defend. And then we would want a turret on the edges to deflect, right? So we need to be able to kill the DT when it's in the base. Can't just rely on scans. And then we want to keep the warp prism away from the edges of the base. And then our MineDrop, that's obviously to harass the mineral lines, kill workers. We can also, kill their workers to stunt their economy. We can pin them at home by leaving the medevac in the back. So yeah, we're basically holding them back, stunting their growth, and scouting their tech all in one. So hopefully we can get the MineDrop out. And then the 2-base transition is contested, right? So Protoss has a choice of counters. They can either go with a blink all in, which is designed to interrupt or kill our timing, or they can go for Robo Bay Tech Rush, which is more designed to defend. So the way that they would want to defend is defend their 4th with like 3-4 Colossus, and then what we're doing is just completely shut down. So we have to be mindful of what Protoss is doing. If they're doing a blink all in, we have to defend it. If they do a Robo Tech Rush, what they've chosen to do is create a Protoss Death Ball, which is a immobile composition, and we have 4M where we can pick everything up in medevacs. So if we go up in medevacs and have enough medevacs to put all our whole army in it, we can start doing split drops, like identify where the Protoss Death Ball is, and then split out. Send half of it home for defense and send half of it into their main or whatever, right? So rather than taking a siege position and fighting their army head on, if it's a Protoss Death Ball, we have to think about dodging and getting around it and buying time for our transition beyond 3 bases, right? To get to our late game transition. So we need to get some videos where we can show that. But in terms of getting our 2-base macro production going, our first production transition is we add 2 racks, 2 tech labs, and an eBay all at once. That eBay can be part of the wall. And then the reason that we like the eBay as part of the wall is because we're playing the bunker back closer to the natural. So we're not using the bunker as part of the wall. We've moved it back a little bit. So let's put the eBay in the wall instead, because we want the 3x3 size. Although I think it's 3x2. The eBay is not as nicely shaped as the bunker for the purposes of a wall. And then for our second production transition, so now we have those 2 tech labs in the eBay, and what we're going to make out of them is stim shells and +1 attack. So we want all of our attack upgrades first, and then behind that, we will queue in, for the tech lab, we will put concussive shells and combat shields on the same tech lab. And then on the eBay, we'll do +1 armor with +1 attack with +1 armor behind it, right? So we don't want to worry about going back to queuing our upgrades. We want to set it and forget it with the upgrades. And then we're getting 2 reactors on the factory and starport, respectively, 2 refineries, and the 3rd CC. And then from there, we're just going into double depot production and macroing off the hotkeys, right? So we can make SCVs again, we can make double depot, but we're focusing on army right now. We're focusing on army and double depot, and the SCVs are like the 3rd priority. If we can make all of them, that's ideal, right? So yeah, this is going to be the first video, which is basically what things look like when they go well. We get the opener, we get the MineDrop, we get into our 4M squad, which does something effective, and then we get into a 3-base transition to close out the game, right? And there's one other type of mid-game transition, and this will be the next video, and it will be, what does the mid-game transition look like on the 2-base into 3-base setup if we are playing against Stargate, right? So the first 4M squad that pops out, which is here on the screen, like mostly Marines and then Marauders, Mines, and Medevacs, we always start with that same 4M squad, and they have to either do something. They have to either harass the 3rd or defend us at home. And then the 3-base transition is what's going to be very variable depending on the matchup, right? And then we'll show what the 3-base transition against Stargate looks like next time with an accompanying slide. All right, guys. Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll keep on going, trying to get the TvP series going.